everyone, welcome to a potential new series on this channel. It's going to be a bit like our urban legends videos, but focusing on mysteries. Every country has unsolved mysteries which have remained so for years, decades, or even centuries. Hundreds or even thousands of people have tried to solve them, but nobody has got the answers. Let's see what your brain makes of them. Also, some of them are a bit disturbing, just to warn you guys in advance. My name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 scary British mysteries. Starting off at number 10 now, we have Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm? Those are the words that first appeared in graffiti in 1944 in Birmingham. They may sound like nonsense to you, but they were referencing a murder. You see, the year before, 4 boys in the nearby town of Hagley discovered the body of a woman in the trunk of a wych elm. Police estimated that she had been killed and put there about 18 months before. The woman was never identified, but the graffiti, that creepy question of who put Bella in the wych elm, that kept appearing. It seemed that whoever started writing that message had knowledge about the case, or may have even been the one who killed the woman, presumed to be called Bella. In the decades since then, there have been a number of theories about who killed Bella. Some say she was a victim of witchcraft, and that her severed hand was proof of a dark ritual called the Hand of Glory. Either way, it seems that someone was once out there who knew what really happened and wanted to get people to investigate by writing that one creepy question everywhere they could. Alright, moving on to number 9 now, we have the SOLWAY SPACEMAN. This one used to creep me out a lot as a kid. I was absolutely fascinated by it though. Perhaps some of you guys watching this are about the same age as I was when I discovered this, so I'm happy to pass this on to the next generation. The SOLWAY SPACEMAN is a mysterious picture taken in 1964 by Jim Templeton in Cumbria, England. Jim took the picture of his 5-year-old daughter, but to his surprise, when he got the picture developed, there appeared to be a figure in a spacesuit in the background. Jim insisted that he did not see anyone around them when the picture was taken. It didn't take long for people to start talking about aliens or time travelers. These theories only grew louder when Jim claims 2 men who said they were from the government visited him but refused to show any ID, and then demanded he showed them where the picture was taken. In the years since then, some have said that the spaceman is nothing more than a view of Jim's wife from behind, her dress appearing white from overexposure. Read a full article on this if you like. It's a really interesting story. Moving on to the number 8 spot now, we have the suicidal dogs. For anyone who has been watching this channel for a few years now, this one may be familiar. I think I mentioned it in a video like 3 years ago. Over the past 50 years, about 50 dogs have fallen about 50 feet from Overton Bridge in Scotland. They weren't pushed, they weren't chased, they've just thrown themselves off, and nobody knows why this keeps happening. All of these dog suicides happen at the same spot, just before the final 2 parapets on the right hand side of the bridge. It almost always happens on clear sunny days, and all of the dogs were long-nosed breeds such as Labradors, Collies and Retrievers. A few of the dogs survived. If they were humans, you could ask them what had come over them, but it's a bit more difficult with dogs. Rumours that Overton Bridge and the nearby Overton House being haunted have only grown stronger, and some say the dogs are just picking up on an energy that is beyond human comprehension. In any case, it's an absolute mystery. Next up at number 7 now, we have Madeleine McCann. This will be a name familiar to most people from the UK. Madeleine was a 3-year-old girl who went missing on May 3rd, 2007 while on a family trip in Portugal's Praia da Luz. Her parents were dining with friends in a tapas bar just round the corner, and the group had regularly been checking on their kids. Maddie was reported missing at 10 PM. Her brothers and sisters, who were 1-year-old twins, were found sleeping safely in the apartment. It's been over 11 years since then, and so far theories have ranged from botched burglaries, being stolen by predators, or even sold to a rich family in the Middle East. Both the British and Portuguese police continue their investigations to this day. Moving on now to number 6, we have Britain's Roswell. That's the nickname that's been given to a bizarre incident that took place in 1980 in Suffolk. Locals in Rendlesham Forest reported strange lights in the area. At first people dismissed it, but then even a US military official who was stationed there reported seeing flying lights in the sky that lowered into the woods and sent cattle into a state of frenzy. When they got to the spot where the lights appeared to land, they found only burnt marks on the ground. One of the American officials who witnessed the event was Colonel Charles Holt. He reported the sightings to the British Ministry of Defence. When they didn't appear to make any efforts to investigate, he accused both the US and the UK of having agents cover up the whole event. To this day, no official explanation has been given for Britain's Roswell. Coming at number 5 now, we have the hairy hands of Devon. This one comes from the 1920s in Devon, a time when locals swore there were a roaming pair of hairy hands in the area. This is perhaps the strangest one on this list. Back then, there was a strange surge of fatal and serious crashes on a stretch of road that travels through a desolate patch of Dartmoor. Some of the crashes were fatal, but from the survivors came a strange tale. Many of them said a pair of rough, hairy hands appeared out of nowhere, grabbed their steering wheel and smashed their cars into a ditch. Police investigated the road and they found that there was a problem with its surface. Others weren't convinced though and said they'd never had any problems with the road either before or after the hairy hands incidents. So what exactly was it? Moving on to number 4 now, we have the Loch Ness Monster. This has to make the cut in a video like this. Whether or not you believe an ancient reptilian creature lurks the waters of Loch Ness in Scotland, there is still a lot of mystery surrounding its many sightings. Going back over 1,400 years ago, Saint Columba was said to have rescued a man from suffering a brutal attack from a water beast in the River Ness. This story seemed to bubble under the surface with the local community for hundreds of years, but in 1933, after a number of sightings, people began to refer to the beast as the Loch Ness Monster. In 1934, Robert Kenneth Wilson published a photograph of what people claimed to be proof of Nessie. The picture showed a creature with dinosaur-like features with a long neck and a small head. The picture was later found to be a hoax, but the legend itself has never died down, becoming an international phenomenon. Like I said at the start, even if you don't think the Loch Ness Monster is real, all these sightings over the years require some sort of explanation. Moving on now to number 3, we have Jill Dando. In 1999, Jill Dando was a primetime TV journalist famous across the country. She was shot after arriving home in Fulham, West London at 11:30 AM on April 26, 1999. She had just put her key in the lock when someone grabbed her from behind. The killer held her with his right arm, forced her to the ground and fired a single gunshot through her left temple in what police described as a professional style execution. The following year, police arrested a Barry George who lived nearby to Jill's house. He was convicted and jailed for life, but eventually won an appeal against conviction in 2007. Since then, police have been exploring a number of different leads, including a jealous ex-boyfriend, Eastern European assassins, a mistaken identity, or perhaps the fact that she worked on Crime Watch, a show that exposed criminals to a national audience. Either way, it's been 19 years and counting, but there are still shadows of doubt over the case. Moving on to number 2 now, we have the Highgate Vampire. This one comes from North London, where Highgate Cemetery is said to have been home to an actual vampire during the 1960s. Some of you guys might just dismiss this right away as an urban legend, but a vampire is perhaps the only explanation for this mystery, no matter how far-fetched it seems. Back then, a group of young people who were interested in the occult began roaming the overgrown cemetery. On December 21st, 1969, one of the group, David Farrant, spent the night there. What happened on that night remained a mystery for 2 months, but David couldn't hold it back anymore. On December 21st, 1969, he wrote a letter to his local paper saying he had seen a supernatural grey figure. Other people began to speak up and said that they had seen a figure too, a tall man wearing a hat, a ghostly cyclist, and also a figure walking out into a pond. There were too many sightings now to just dismiss. A man called Sean Manchester put forward the theory that a king vampire of the undead was practicing black magic there. Some of you may dismiss that as ridiculous, but so far it really is the best theory for these mysterious sightings. And finally, number 1 now, we have Jack the Ripper. Some of you may have seen this coming a mile off. It's a story that's become famous across the world. From August to November 1888, a killer murdered and butchered at least 5 prostitutes in London's Whitechapel area. They were all killed with a cut to the throat and all had their abdomens mutilated. Some even had their internal organs removed. The police received one letter claiming to be from the killer. He referred to himself as Jack the Ripper, and the name just stuck with the public. All police had to go on was the fact that due to the killer's precise removal of organs, he may have had surgical knowledge. When the killing stopped, the police investigation eventually went cold. Now, the mystery is left in the hands of modern day researchers, and many of them have their theories on the Ripper's identity. Alright, those were some mysteries produced by Britain. What country should we look at next? I feel like America could be a little bit too easy. I could do that one next though. If you guys want, I can do any country, to be honest. Also, I hope you guys are checking out our live stream marathons that we're doing at the weekend, where we play some of our series for basically as long as you guys can watch them. Keep an eye out for them if you haven't seen them yet. Thanks for watching as always, guys. My name is Danny Burke, and I will see you all in the next video.